Hey, it's Sam and I'm back with another full workout video. I'm back in Bodyworks gym in Tottenham, London, and this is going to be a full back workout. So like usual, we're going to hit every part of the back as a muscle group. There's going to be some pull downs, some rowing, some pullovers, some low rowing. Cover the whole lot and I'll explain it as I go. And I'm just going to get warmed up now. I'm going to use a very new machine that should be unusual. Stick through it, you'll learn all sorts, and then we'll have a chat at the end. Catch you in a sec. Right, this first exercise I'm doing is a rowing exercise on a machine, and I'm using this first because it's unusual to me, so I want to do it while it's fresh. I've never seen this machine anywhere else, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to lift on it. It's by Paramount, and it's a lat pull down and also a row. So if you sit in it like this, it's supposed to be a lat pull down with the handles here, and if you sit in it the other way, like this, and put your feet on the rests here, it's a row, and then these arms come down, and the whole thing looks very strange. It looks kind of like a praying mantis. But when I used it before, ages ago, it felt like a cross between like a high row and a barbell row, like kind of in between those two. So it's really unique. That's why I'm doing it first, because I might be a bit wobbly on it. I put 3 plates on each side, which will be fairly standard for me starting off on a barbell row. I'm going to take it up from there. Just get my wrist wraps on, I use for all back exercises. Jump in here. Wow. What I like about this is to keep your balance and not get pulled off the seat. It makes it really hard to cheat. It makes you do it with good form just to not get pulled off the thing, strangely. So I like this machine. I wish I could find it elsewhere. And as I'm getting like 16 reps on there, I'm going to go ahead and chuck another plate on each side. So I have 4 20s on each side of this thing, and go for set 2. But hopefully I'll still be getting like 10 to 12 reps and take the exercise from there. Set 2, here we go. Okay, I can't do that without being lifted off the seat with that weight, so I don't edit out any mistakes here. So I'm gonna replace those 20s with just an extra 10 each side and jump back in. So that'll be 70 kilos on each side. Not 80 kilos on each side. This should be the sweet spot, I think. First set was too easy, really. If I'm getting 16 reps and that, I could do it, but not without getting pulled off the seat. So that's no use. Right, set 2, attempt 2. Oh, that's proper like that. So I like to think I'm getting a bit better with this camera and the shots I'm taking. So I've got it all nice with the Bodyworks logo at the top there. Don't know why that's interesting, it's actually not. But it mixes it up and breaks up the video a little bit to give some different angles on each exercise so you can see what's happening. So here we go. Set 3 on this machine row. I think they should call it the mantis row, with these weird arms on it. I can really feel that now. It's going to be a good workout as usual. Last set, 3.5 plates again. It's definitely a good exercise that. Before I do the pull downs though, I'm going to show you something really embarrassing that will show you why I'm choosing pull downs. So I do recommend pull-ups, like the body weight ones, because it's more stress on the muscle trying to have to balance yourself more. And then you can add to that with a weight belt and weighted pull-ups, like you can see on my Instagram at Physique Philosopher. When I was a bit lighter, I'm doing it with the weight belt, getting full dead hang pull-ups on there. But right now, I'm going to show you something really embarrassing of how few I can get with my body weight, and it's because I'm off season and my body weight has crept up so much, and most of the time I'm getting on the scale and it's 290 pounds, so basically 20 and a half stone. And now my wide grip pull-ups, I'll be getting so few that I'm really looking for upper body, like I've said before, to be hitting 8 to 12 kind of reps, which is why I adjusted my weights on that last exercise to match that. And you'll see here, unless I have an absolute miracle, that I won't get more than 8 on the pull-ups, and that's why I'm reducing the resistance by picking a pull-down exercise where I can use less than my body weight. So watch this for a laugh. So yeah, that's like 4 half reps. That's like four reps of not even getting up to the top, which is shameful. I'm just too heavy. My strength does not match my body weight at all. So right, this lat pull down is going to be far more appropriate for me, as you've just seen. So the sissy exercise is the one for me on this occasion. Now, with the lat pull downs, you'll see that I always do it as wide as possible. And the reason for that is because it's a compound exercise, but I'm targeting my back. So the wider I put this, the less elbow flexion I'm getting in executing the exercise, which means the less of a job, the less of a role the biceps have in it, because it's essentially a compound exercise for the back, primarily the lats, and the arms, primarily the biceps. And I can reduce the role of the biceps, making it harder on my back by taking out some of the elbow flexion, and I do that by putting the hands wide. So I'll shut up with the boring bit and do set 1 now. So that was 15 or 16 now. I'm always training to failure. If I jump out of the rep range by a few extra, I still do it to failure because it's still effective. It's still effective really anything from 3 or 4 to about 30 reps. So I'm just looking for what's most effective. But I'll still train to failure if the weight's too little. And I now know from that set to go up a few notches. So that's just over 3/4 of the stack now. I'll get my breath back and do set 2. Set 2, a little bit heavier, and I've zoomed it in a little bit for you. How about that? How about that? Another shot where you can see how big this gym is and how good it is. It's one of my favourites. Bodyworks in Tottenham, and they got all murals all over the walls of the most famous bodybuilders. So up in front of me is Phil Heath, but it hasn't come out so well, Phil Heath. His face looks kind of like a duck in this mural. The ones behind me of Jay Cutler and Dorian Yates and Kevin Lavoni, they look real good. That's a form of motivation, seeing all that kind of thing. I love those gyms where they got all photos up of their members that have competed, and they've got that at the entrance here, which I could show at the end. Set 3. I'm going to make that a drop set instead of doing 4 straight sets. Rattle through this a bit quicker. I was bouncing all over the place on that because I couldn't get the seat to raise, so bouncing my legs up and down the stopper. I'll know to pick the other one for next time. Anyway, on to the next exercise. Next exercise is that diagonal pulling, so not a pull down, not a row, but that diagonal angle in between that I really like, that I find is really those areas of the back, like out at the edges above the lats, so the teres major, teres minor, infraspinatus, the rhomboids, like all of that area that contributes to width and thickness really in the kind of mid to upper back. And I'm always harping on about having at least one unilateral exercise in a workout, so that's going to be what's happening here. You see each of these moves independently, and that would be different to the last 2 exercises where it's all moving together in the mechanism of the first exercise and your typical lat pull down. So I'm going to start steady because it's the 3rd exercise, so I'm putting half the stack on here, and as you've seen with all my workouts, I just go to failure on every set and then adjust the weights as I go sometimes to stay in what I consider an optimal rep range, which for upper body 8 to 12, for lower body more like 10 to 20. Anyway, set 1. Oh no, I can feel straight away that's too easy. I'll bump it up to 50 a side. You know what? You know what, let's just put the whole stack on. It's what the people want to see, and I think I can do it, even if it's only 8 reps. I noticed with the videos, the more I'm lifting, the more popular they seem to be. So this is the 3rd exercise. I'll try the full stack on this thing. I'm not going to edit it. Whatever happens now happens and goes in the video. Woo! That is some proper ego lifting. I got my 8 reps, but what I noticed as well is that it was heavier on the left side, so I got more resistance. So I reckon there's like some rustiness in the mechanism just on one side. Anyway, you've seen that now. I'm going to take it to about 3/4 of the stack on 55 and be looking more at 11 to 12 reps when I get my breath back. Half a minute. Set 2. You know what? The difference between the left and the right side is not normal for me. I am right-handed, so I'm a teensy bit stronger on the right-hand side, but the effect of the imbalance is way more noticeable on this than anything else, so I figure it needs a good clean out on this side probably, because it feels a little bit wrong. I'm only going to do 3 sets on here and move on to something hopefully more productive. This would take so long if I stopped to get my breath back to do all the talking in between. So, you're stuck with me puffing and panting, I'm afraid. But I hope to demonstrate that, as well as the little tips you might pick up, I'm training really hard. And that's the main thing that I want, well, after safety, that's the main thing that I want people to keep in mind. Because we can talk all day about the different training philosophies and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's whatever's working hardest consistently for the longest periods of time. Set 3. Right, for my next exercise on back, I'm going to hit up the cable rows here, and I put the full stack on because I know it's what people want to see. It might not be my cleanest reps, but I think I can probably do it because the weights are actually labelled and it's saying 140 for the whole lot, which is what I could barbell row, no problem. So I'm not going to edit it. We'll see what happens, but I know it's what people want to see, like heavy weights bashing and crashing, more than my nerdy chats about stuff next to my bookcase. So I'm going to try and throw this about for at least 8 reps, or make a fool of myself for your entertainment in the process. But I can start stacking the excuses already because the grip on here is knackered. Anyway, cable rows set 1. Piece of piss. set 2. I've got company. It's like the Oxford and Cambridge boat race here. So what I did notice with those sets is this rubber that's tearing off the grip on the handles is kind of going all over the place, and I was losing a bit on the grip even with the wrist wraps. So I'm going to switch to just a metal one and see if that's any more secure. So I'm a big believer in using assistance for grip when training back, because I feel like your grip can give up before your back's fully exhausted, and then you have no other option for working out your back to the max, whereas all stuff to do with your arms and forearms can be done in completely different isolation exercises. So I'm wrapping up again on here, and without the rubber going all over the place. I think that should be more secure. I'm going to stay on the full stack because even with all that going on, I wasn't struggling too bad for the 12 reps, so I'll try it again. And let's make that drop set. Keep it going. The grip is destroyed there. I think the next exercise is going to have to be something in a arcing pullover kind of motion. So let's go and find something, and then nearly done on back. Okay, I've really lucked out with what I found here with this hammer strength pullover machine. I was looking for something in that pullover arcing angle, and doing it on a bench with a dumbbell is achy on my elbows big time at the moment. And then the cable ones I've done in the last two workout videos, so that's getting boring for everyone. Usually these machines I don't fit in because the sides of it like brush against me and get in the way, and I don't really fit in the machine. But this seems to be an old model. It's different to what I normally use. The other hammer strength, which I think is the newer model, they have its own. Now this one, I don't brush the sides, so I can show you what a pullover machine looks like. Some people do this to pre-exhaust the lats before doing their pull down and their rowing stuff. Now, I don't, because I feel like I don't have enough connection with this kind of movement and this machine to benefit from that yet. But if I continue using this one, it goes well, it'll be something that I would consider. But I'm just putting my seatbelt on, safety first. It's not just about me, but if I go flying through the windscreen, it's dangerous for everyone else too. So you put your elbows in the pad here. Don't want any wardrobe malfunctions at the same time. Ease it forward with the elbows and grab onto the handles, and I've got that pullover motion there. This is nearly 20 reps, so I need more weight. Bear with me. Okay, set 2. I've got 3 plates on each side now. That should be fine. I feel like that is about right. But it's a machine that I need more practice on. The more you do the same exercises, the better you get at using the parts of your body that they're intended for and getting the most out of them. So that is an argument to be made for keeping pretty much the same routine for longer periods of time, along with being able to measure more directly what the progressive resistance, progressive overload is. And I just mix it up a lot, really, to keep me engaged with it after all of these years and introduce more different things to you on the videos. But it's not such a problem for me because I've been training for so long and have used all of the exercises for a long period of time at some point that I know roughly where I sit and what resistance I need and what would represent progression. But especially when you're newer, definitely find something effective with the most hardcore exercises and stick with that for a period of time, I would suggest. And when it comes to back, your real core exercises are your pull-ups, barbell rows, T-bar rows, cable row, any heavy loaded machines where you're rowing in that diagonal arc. Deadlifts, of course. I personally don't use deadlifts anymore, but I did them a lot when I was younger for gaining strength and size. But for me, they're bringing in my glutes like far too much. A bit like with my squats, that I don't use them so much now, and I can get good back development out of all these other exercises. Anyway, set 3. And that's the back done. And that brings us to the end of the session today. As usual, I like to take a few minutes to reflect on what went well, what's worth discussing before wrapping it up. And just thinking about that workout there, I did it fairly intuitively. I mean, some people do train and make it up as they go along after they got experience, and that's me quite a lot of the time, but it lends itself well to showing you kind of different exercises. And I think really what I've demonstrated there is how to hit the back from all angles with machines. So you'd get a row machine that's a bit higher, a lat pull down machine, a pullover arcing movement, and a cable row. That's everything you need. If you wanted to abbreviate it even further, if say you were training 2 or 3 times a week and there's only room in the schedule for 2 or 3 back exercises, a row and a pull down would be a sufficient combination for what you hope to do with your back in that kind of time and training split allotment. So it's sort of showing all different ways of how you can do this, or how you could do this within different parameters. So today what I did was all of the back very thoroughly, high volume and pretty intense too, but just with machines. As I say, if you wanted to drop that down even further, if you're more time limited with work and family commitments, that kind of thing, you could do just a row and a pull down. You could do that with body weight and a barbell, or you could do that with machines like the ones that I've shown today. But it's a beneficial workout for me. It's always, like, I know it's stupid, but it's always satisfying to find something easy, like on a full stack, like the cable row there. I was quite satisfied with that. But I've put a lot of work into my barbell rows and T-bar rows over the last year, really. So that's kind of the effect of that, as I kind of would find some of the stacks on some of the machines in the gym not enough. I know the one at Zone is a bit heavier because it was custom made, but this normal one here, I'm kind of maxed out on it, getting up to 12 reps every set, and it's just like satisfying. It's having like these little milestones of progress, even though if you're doing bodybuilding, the KPIs aren't really your lifts. It's funny because I see what people log the most is like their lifts, and it's part of it, getting some kind of progression, but your real KPIs, bodybuilding, are your measurements, which is why I published those videos recently of how I track progress in muscle gain and fat loss, and then showed you the practical version with part 2, with using my tape measure and calipers, and basically did a self check-in on video. If you go back to that video, I'll try and put it up here. Haven't used that function on YouTube yet, but I'm trying to put it here. That's how to do a full self check-in of the real KPIs of bodybuilding, which is your measurements, and track that week by week. That's, if you're looking bodybuilding, that's really what you're looking at, and less of a key indicator, but just something to keep an eye on is your progressive overload with the gym. But that's what people track more, and sort of sorry to say. And I don't bring a logbook to the gym because I remember it all in my head, roughly where I'm up to, and I find that I get out of the headspace of concentrating on the exercise and the feeling in my body and being revved up for it. If I then get a workbook out, pen and paper, and start doing all that kind of thing, it takes me out of the kind of aggressive headspace. Let's go get it. I mean, it's very individualized. For some people, like seeing the numbers and having that clear target might spur them on even more. So do what works for you, but I'm sort of explaining why I do what works for me. But definitely something I'm quite adamant on is that if this is a bodybuilding and a physique kind of reasons why you're doing this whole gym thing, really the key things to be measuring are the actual results on your body, not the lifts. The lifts in that case are just a means to an end. We're getting closer to Christmas, so I'm going to keep these videos up. Have a look at my last video if you want a bit of encouragement on how to more or less stick to your plan, but have a bit of balance and a bit of fun and enjoy Christmas at the same time if you get a moment. But if you like any of these videos, my analysis, the workout motivation, the Q&As with full explanations on all topics bodybuilding, consider subscribing and consider checking out my videos on the next slide. Have a good weekend. Cheers.